Today we are going to read The Jungle Book
by Disney Junior.
Deep in the jungle, Bagheera the panther was out hunting. Suddenly he heard a strange crying sound coming from the river. He followed the sound and discovered a basket with a tiny hobby boy inside. Why, it's a man cub, he said. This little chap needs food and a mother's care. Perhaps Mother Wolf will look after him. Mother Wolf agreed to help. They named the man cub Mowgli. What?
Mowgli.
And he grew up safe and happy in the jungle. But everything changed when Mowgli was 10 years old. Sher Khan, the man-eating tiger, heard about the man cub and came searching for him. The wolves agreed that Bagheera should take the boy back to the man village where he would be safe. So the next morning, Bagheera and Mowgli set off on their long journey. Mowgli was angry and upset. He didn't want to leave his home in the jungle. When darkness fell, Bagheera and Mowgli climbed a tree and settled down to sleep on a branch. Nearby, hiding under some leaves, was Ka, the python. As soon as Bagheera was asleep, Ka slithered towards the man cub. His shining eyes seemed to have a magic power, and Mowgli quickly began to sink into a deep trance. Slowly, Kaa started to wind himself around the boy, ready to swallow him up. Suddenly, Bagheera woke up and sprang at Kaa. He struck the snake with his claws and sent him slithering away into the jungle. At dawn, Mowgli was wakened by a very loud noise. He looked down from the tree and saw Colonel Hathi and the dawn patrol marching along. Up, 2, 3, 4, up, 2, 3, 4, tramped the elephant. Mowgli jumped down from the tree, got on all fours, and joined the end of the parade behind a baby elephant. He had great fun copying everything the little elephant did. Eventually, Bagheera caught up with Mowgli and wanted to carry on towards the man village, but Mowgli refused to go. He grabbed hold of a tree trunk and held on tightly. Bagheera was very cross and ran off, leaving the man cub all alone. It wasn't long before Mowgli met a friendly bear called Balu. He told Balu how much he wanted to stay in the jungle. No problem, Balu said. I'll look after you. Balu enjoyed teaching his new friend all about the bare necessities of life. Soon, Mowgli could fight like a bear, growl like a bear, and even scratch like a bear. Later that afternoon, Mowgli and Balu waded into the river to keep cool. Mowgli sat on Balu's tummy as they gently floated along. It was very peaceful, and Balu soon fell asleep. But watching from some trees was a group of monkeys who were waiting to kidnap Mowgli. The monkeys sprang out from their hiding place and grabbed the man cub. Balu woke with a jump, but it was too late. The monkeys were already carrying Mowgli off to the ruined temple where they lived. Luckily, Bagheera heard Mowgli's cries and rushed to the river to help. He found Balu, who explained what had happened. We need a rescue plan, Bagheera said. At the ruined temple, Loi, king of the apes, was sitting on his throne, waiting for the man cub to arrive. So, you are here at last, Louis cried as Mowgli was dropped beside him. Louis offered to help Mowgli stay in the jungle. In return, he wanted to learn the secret of man's red fire. But before Mowgli could explain that, he didn't know the secret. Louis declared that they would have a great feast in honor of their guest. Balu and Bagheera reached the temple just in time to see Louis leap from his throne and start to sing and dance in celebration of the man cub's arrival. As Mowgli's feet began to tap to the music, he forgot his troubles and joined in the fun. Balu, whispered Bagheera, you distract the monkeys while I rescue Mowgli. Balu had an idea. He dressed in some coconut shells and leaves to make himself look like a lady ape. Then he waved at Louis. The king thought the lady ape was very beautiful and rushed over to ask her to dance. He had no idea that it was really Balu in disguise. But as Balu danced, his disguise began to fall off. The angry monkeys realized they had been tricked and started to attack him. Just as Bagheera rushed over to help, Balu knocked over a pillar and the whole temple came crashing down around the monkeys. Luckily, Balu managed to drag Mowgli away from King Louis and Bagheera led them both to safety. That night, Bagheera and Balu kept watch over Mowgli as he slept. It was time to discuss their young friend's future. The man cub must go to Man village, said Bagheera. It's not safe for him to stay in the jungle. Balu, remembering Sher Khan, bad to admit that Bagheera was right. So the next morning, Balu led Mowgli off towards the Man village. When the man cub found out where they were headed, he was very angry. You don't want me to stay. You are just like Bagheera, he shouted. But before Balu could explain, Mowgli ran off into the jungle. When Bagheera heard Mowgli had run away, he went to see Colonel Hathi and the Dawn Patrol. We need your help, Bagheera told him. The man cub is alone in the jungle. We must find him before Sher Khan does. At the very moment, close by, Sher Khan was stalking a deer. As he stopped and listened to Bagheera, he licked his lips. The man cub is lost in the jungle. Hey, I think I'll do everyone a good deed and find him fast, he said, and off he went to begin his search. It wasn't long before Sher Khan spotted Mowgli in the distance, emerging from the shadows. The tiger gave a loud roar. He leaped at Mowgli, taking the man cub by surprise. But Sher Khan stopped in mid-leap and crashed to the ground. Balu had caught him by the tail. Sher Khan roared with rage as he dragged Balu behind him. But the brave bear was determined not to let go. Eventually, the furious tiger managed to flip Balu over his head. The bear hit the ground with a mighty crash. Mowgli ran over to Balu, who was lying very still on the ground. Please get up, Balu, he cried. Bagheera came over to comfort Mowgli. Balu was very brave, the panther said. Was? Gulped Mowgli. You mean Balu's dead? But before Bagheera had a chance to reply, Balu sat up and rubbed his eyes. He wasn't dead after all. Mowgli laughed and threw his arms round the big bear's neck. Suddenly, a lightning bolt struck a nearby tree, which burst into flames. Sher Khan was terrified. Fire was the only thing that frightened him. Seeing his chance to get back at the tiger, Mowgli picked up a burning branch. The man cub tied the burning branch to the tiger's tail. Sher Khan screamed as he clawed the branch away. Then he fled into the jungle, never to be seen again. The three friends carried on towards the man village. Suddenly, they heard someone singing across the river. Mowgli peered through the trees and saw a young girl kneeling by the river. Isn't she pretty? Cried Mowgli, climbing a tree to have a closer look. The girl turned and smiled. Mowgli shyly smiled back. When she began to walk off towards the man village, Mowgli ran to join her. Balu and Bagheera felt very sad that their young friend was leaving, but they knew he would now be happy and safe. It's where he belongs, sighed Bagheera. Come on, Balu, let's get back to where we belong. And so the two friends headed back towards the jungle, singing and dancing happily.